Ross Nisiowski. Robert G. O'Keefe.
Here.
Richard J. Parker.
Here.
Kristen L. Perkins.
Here.
Laurent R. Perrault.
Here.
David R. Peroni. Michael W. Powers. William M. Prentice.
Here.
John P. Humphrey Jr.
Here.
Corey K. Ryan. W. Coley Rybicki. Nova D. Samadai. Deborah F. Sauer. Kenneth G. Scholes Jr.
Here.
James M. Sears. Michael J. Shannon.
Here.
Lisa Silva.
Here.
George H. Snow.
Here.
Jennifer St. Arnault.
Here.
Elizabeth Lisa Stockman.
Here.
Richard D. Stoney.
Here.
Peter H. Swift.
Here.
Eldon Peter Swindell.
Here.
Bruce A. Sims.
Here.
Justin Peter Terriot.
Here.
Janice R. Tybert.
Here.
Monica L. Tybert. Michael Trainer.
Here.
Lisa Marie Trask.
Here.
Richard B. Trask.
Here.
Jane A. Tremblay.
Here.
Kathleen Turcott. James P. Tutko.
Here.
Mary Beth Very.
Here.
Jared W. Waterman.
Here.
Alan Weeks.
Here.
Joanne Wheelock Ragucci. Peter J. Wilson. Kevin T. Wood. Marissa Costello.
Here.
Patrick Kelleher. Susan Saldani.
Here.
Kristen Tybert.
Here.
Gregory Tremblay.
Here.
Daniel C. Bennett.
Here.
Maureen A. Bernard. Matthew Duggan.
Here.
David A. Mills. Gardner S. Trask III. Thank you. You have 126.
126 members having answered present, I declare the presence of a quorum. Before beginning this evening, I have been requested by several town meeting members to ask that any individual who is wearing a cap or hat to please remove it during the duration of the meeting. Thank you. I would now like to invite Kathy to swear in the newly elected town meeting members. Would you please rise?
Can you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, say your name, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me as town meeting member, according to the best of my abilities and understanding, agreeably to the rules and regulation of the Constitution and the laws of this Commonwealth. So help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations. I would now like to invite our Danvers veterans to come forward and lead us in the salute to the flag. Joining us on the stage are Jim Simon, Navy Army, Alan Weeks, Navy, Kelly Ramos Texera, Marine Corps, and James Morose, Air Force. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And you'll see that the majority of our veterans who led us in the salute are fellow town meeting members this year. So thank you all very much. And now I would like to introduce to you the Danvers High School a cappella group, Falcon Eyes. And before I meant to also point out, they're being led by Alex Grover.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Now we love God. Would tumble and fall in the mountain, would crumble into the sea. I won't cry, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Whenever I'm in trouble, won't you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Shot through the heart, and you're to blame. You give got hold on me. When passion's in prison, you can't break free. Oh, you're a loaded gun. Insane damage is done. Shot through the heart, and you're to blame. Play my part and you play your game. You give love, you give love, a bad it's now or never. There's a smile on your lips, blood hands on your fingertips. Snowboy dreams, you act so shy. You very first kiss was your precious boy. Shot through the heart, and you're to blame. Now when you give up a bad dream, I play my part and you play your game. You give love a bad name. You give love a bad name. I play my part and you play your game. You give love a bad name. You give love. You give love a bad name. You give love. You give love a bad name.
Danvers Falconized. All right, we're now ready to get to the serious part of the meeting. I'd first like to take a moment to introduce our two guests this evening, our State Senator Joan Lovely and our State Representative Sally Kern, both in the back. I'd like to warmly welcome our new Danvers School Superintendent, Dan Bauer, who is with us this evening. The chair would also like to extend the community's sincere thanks to Mary Wormer, who has been acting superintendent, for her stewardship during this transition. Thank you, Mary. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our new Finance Committee members to the town meeting, Erin McLaughlin and Walter Typett, who are both here with us this evening. I would also like to take a moment to recognize Mike Daly, a longtime member of the Finance Committee who retired after last town meeting, so we didn't have an opportunity to honor him. So our many thanks from me and the town meeting for Mike's long service to the town. Thank you, Mike. I would now like to recognize the chairman of the Select Board, Dan, if you wouldn't mind, rising for the memorial resolutions. And I would ask the members to stand and remain standing during the reading of the names. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Good evening, fellow town meeting members. In memoriam 2023, Gail Rapoli, retired Danvers Public School teacher. Robert Lavassa, retired DPW facilities manager. Niles Berry, retired senior distribution engineer. Dana Foy, former town meeting member. Judith Aramo, retired school department. Marilyn Johnson, retired Hunt Hospital. Richard Pyburn, retired firefighter. Richard Robinson, retired police officer. William Stacy, retired police officer. Carl Peterson, retired Hunt Hospital. Kathleen Huntington, retired school teacher. Margaret Zielinski, Planning Board, poll worker. Barbara McCulloch Hines, retired Hunt Hospital. Richard Wessel, retired Deputy Fire Chief. Warren Porter, retired School Department. Kathleen Doyle, retired Hunt Hospital. Laquita Perry, retired Hunt Hospital. Florence Sargino, retired Legal Secretary. Bruce Talbot, retired Danvers Police Officer. Janet Medora, former teacher, Danvers High School. Diane R. Gould McDermott, former tax collector. Shirley Grumman, retired Hunt Hospital. Alina Collins, retired Hunt Hospital. David Ambrose, retired Forestry Department. John P. Jack Kelly, retired Danvers Public Schools. Timothy T.J. Timmons, retired Danvers Police Office. Gene Chase, retired Hunt Hospital. Thomas Carl Healy, retired Water Sewer Department. Joseph Kirby, retired Electric Department and retired Forestry Department. Walter Johnson, Housing Authority. Walter Roberts, retired Danvers Police Department. John Fraser, longtime Recreation Committee member. And last but certainly not least, Wayne Markey, who was the third longest serving town manager in the state at 35 years when he retired in 2014. He was respected by many, not just for his role in town, but as a father, as a grandfather, and as a fellow Kiwanian. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. The body may be seated. Do all members have a copy of the warrant articles and the recommendation of the Finance Committee? If not, we do have extra copies available. I'd now like to appoint the tellers for each precinct. Precinct 1, Nellie Moran. Precinct 2, John Jaworski. Precinct 3, Sandy Lane. Precinct 4, Peter Swindell. Precinct 5, John Duffel III. Precinct 6, Larry Chisholm. Precinct 7, Bill Clark. And Precinct 8, John Alden Sr. Tellers should be certain to count their own votes, and the teller from Precinct 1 should be sure to count the votes of the members of the board of the Select Board. For the benefit of new members, as well as others, the chair will review some matters of information and instruction relative to the conduct of this meeting, most of which is procedural. The chair will read each article or a summary thereof aloud, which will be followed by the recommendation of the Finance Committee. The recommendation of the Finance Committee is the main motion. Town meeting members shall usually speak on all motions before any others. However, any citizen voter in the town will be permitted to speak after town meeting members have done so. As is tradition, all members addressing the body are asked to use the microphone. In special circumstances, the chair may permit a committee chairperson or the sponsor of an article or some other person such as town council to speak before others for the purpose of information or other explanation. The meeting, if it wishes, may change the order of discussion of articles in the warrant by majority vote. The chair reminds all present that no person may speak without the permission of the chair, and that no speaker may be interrupted except for a point of order or privilege. All questions addressed to any other person must be made through the chair. Neither cross-examination nor reference to personalities will be permitted. They are out of order. The chair retains the authority at all times to rule certain questions and comments irrelevant to the meeting, and direct controversies between speakers are an affront to the dignity of the town meeting and will not be tolerated. All proposed amendments must be in writing with a copy given to the town clerk. The reason for this is purely for the sake of clarity, so we all know what we are voting for or against, and in order that a main motion after amendment can be clearly stated by the chair prior to voting. I thank all the members who have given prior notice of possible amendments. The chair will from time to time recite specific requirements for votes on certain motions. As a reminder, in June 1998, the town meeting voted to adopt Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 39, Section 15, to authorize the moderator to declare adoption without count any vote requiring a 2/3 vote. Most of our vote are conducted on a voice vote basis. If the chair has doubt of the result of the voice vote, the chair will ask for a standing vote. Standing votes are taken by precinct, with each teller reciting aloud his or her tally of those in favor, those opposed. The total of all precincts is then announced by the chair. If 7 members rising in place indicate they have doubt, the chair will ask for a standing vote. After the chair has made the announcement, the vote may not be questioned. Roll call voting. A roll call vote may be taken on any motion when the following conditions have been met. A motion must be made for a roll call vote at the conclusion of debate or after a voice vote has been taken. The motion must be seconded. Passage of the motion for the roll call vote requires a majority vote. A motion for a roll call vote may not be made after a standing vote has been taken and the results announced by the chair. Interruption of any method of voting will be considered out of order. The chair requests that all persons with cell phones or other electronic devices kindly place the device in silent mode or turn it off. As always, no smoking is permitted on school grounds. I would also like to call your attention to the location of the emergency exits in the room, which are clearly marked and on either side of the room, in the front and the rear. And the chair asks for the cooperation of those citizens who are not town meeting members to refrain from taking part in voice voting. The return of the warrant indicates it was properly served. There is a motion by Chairman Bennett that the chair omit the reading of the warrant, which has been seconded by Member Gardner-Trask. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. This evening we have the occasion of having a special town meeting within the annual town meeting. And this evening we will briefly recess the annual town meeting for the purpose of conducting a special town meeting. Once the business of the special town meeting is concluded, we will reconvene the annual town meeting. There is a motion by Maureen Bernard, seconded by Matt Duggan, that the annual town meeting be in temporary recess so that a special town meeting consisting of 6 articles may be held. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The return of the warrant indicates it was properly served. There is a motion by David Mills that the chair omit the reading of the warrant, which has been seconded by Chairman Bennett. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. I would now ask you to please go to, in your warrant, the special town meeting warrant, which begins on page 1. Article 1, unpaid bills. To see what sum the town will vote for the payment of certain unpaid bills for previous years or take any other actions thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and good evening. We recommend that the town vote to appropriate sums for the payment of certain unpaid bills for previous years as follows. $40 from Police General Office Supplies to Staples, $103 from Police General Office Supplies to Amazon, $589 from Legal Counsel Legal Services to Murphy, Hess, Toomey, and Lehane, $1,861 from Veteran Services General Office Supplies to Amazon, $435 from DPW Oil to Certified Laboratories, $17 from DPW Other Auto Supplies to Danvers Motor Company, $10,802 from DPW Gasoline Unleaded to Dennis K. Burke.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? This requires a 9/10 vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 2, budget transfers, fiscal year 2023. To see if the town will vote to amend the actions taken under Article 2 of the May 16, 2022 annual town meeting by adding certain appropriations or by reducing certain appropriations, by transfer among accounts, by transfer from prior appropriations under articles, or from available funds, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to amend the vote taken under Article 2 of the May 16, 2022 annual town meeting by increasing certain appropriations or by reducing certain appropriations, by transfer among accounts, by transfer from prior appropriations under articles, or from available funds as follows. $35,000 from police personnel to police capital outlay, $13,750 from DPW personnel to DPW capital outlay, $75,000 from water personnel to water operating, $75,000 from water retained earnings to water operating, $55,000 from water retained earnings to water capital outlay, $25,000 from sewer retained earnings to sewer capital outlay, and $12,000 from debt interest to accounting personnel.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 3, State Public Works Grant. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for public works projects, such sum to be reimbursed by the State Transportation Bond Bill or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $877,025 for public works projects, such sum to be reimbursed by the State Transportation Bond Bill.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 4, Special Education Supplemental Appropriation. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate toward the school department budget or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $1,750,000 from free cash toward the school department budget for the Special Education Supplemental Appropriation.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 5, Refuse and Recycling Carts. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the purchase of refuse and recycling carts and to determine whether this appropriation should be raised by borrowing or otherwise or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $980,000 from free cash for the purchase of refuse and recycling carts. We further recommend that the town manager explore options to recover the costs of said carts from households.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Mr. Bates.
Good evening, Town Meeting Member Bill Bates, Precinct 4. I'd like to offer an amendment to the Finance Committee's recommendation, please. And what I would do is, do you need another copy, Madam
No,
Moderator?
I am good.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Bill.
What I would simply ask the body to consider is after the words, we recommend that the town vote to appropriate $980,000 from free cash for the purchase of refuse and recycling carts, period. And I would like to end the recommendation there. So my amendment would be to strike the last sentence.
So for clarification, the proposed amended motion would read, we recommend that the town vote to appropriate $980,000 from free cash for the purchase of refuse and recycling carts. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there a second? Second. Mr. Bates.
Thank you very much. You know, the previous article that we just voted on was presented to the FinCom at $1.5 million. And the Finance Committee was very concerned that this year about the schools, and they added $250,000 to that line item above and beyond the request of the selectmen and the school committee and the administration. And I applaud the FinCom for doing that. I think it was the right move. This next article began, there was some talk about, well, it's $980,000 for cots, for rubbish barrels. And why should we pay for them? People have always bought their own trash barrels in Danvers. Why are we saying that we want to have $980,000 to do that? So the FinCom amended it and said that they would instruct the town manager to further explore options to recover the cost of the said cots. Simply, I would just suggest to you the $980,000 is in the account called free cash, that it's our money, it's the taxpayers' money. We have a brand new rubbish contract that you're going to vote on later on in this budget that increases the budget for rubbish in this town by over $800,000. I feel that the $980,000 in free cash has already been paid by the taxpayers. These barrels are required by the contract, and I hope that you'll support my amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. Is there any further discussion? Yes.
Richard Parker, Precinct 4. We already have trash barrels that are compatible with automated garbage trucks. I'm wondering if everybody else does as well, if anybody else does as well, and if there is a need to purchase that much in terms of waste trash buckets.
So do you have a question, or?
I don't know what I have.
Okay, okay. So, Mr. Chairman, could you please explain why these trash barrels, particular trash barrels, are required?
They're a specific size. One's for trash, the other's larger for recycling, and it's larger than the ones you have at home now. And these trucks are going to be automated to pick up one size. They can't pick up multiple size carts. So that's why we need to invest in these particular carts that come with, I think, a 10-year warranty, and the trash company will continue to repair them over time as the wheels fall off, which is obviously going to happen.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Yes.
Nova Samade, Precinct 1. I'd like to just oppose, I'll just hold this. I'd like to just oppose the amendment. Thanks, Steve, I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, thanks. Thanks. So, yes, it is the taxpayers' money, the $980,000, but we have plenty of things to spend $980,000 on other than trash bins. You know, we all already buy our own trash bins. So I think this is an easy way for us to keep $1 million within our budget to spend on the town as a whole and not individual households. Also, if we had gone to a different trash disposal, like in Gloucester where they have to buy their own trash bags, a couple dollars a piece, we would not be providing trash bags to each household, which is pretty much what we're doing. We're saying, you need to have this in order to get your trash picked up. And yes, also, it is going to be more expensive this year, $800,000, and we are not asking for a fee, as of right now, from taxpayers to continue to get their trash picked up. So I think that it's one thing that we can do as a community is pay for our own trash bills. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Mr. Trask. And again, we're talking about the proposed amendment.
Yes, I'd like to suggest that you endorse the proposed amendment. This is money that's already been collected from the taxpayers, and when the budget is created, it's created and was created with the thought that the town would absorb this through free cash. And while I appreciate the sentiment we just heard, we aren't going to appropriate that $980,000. It's going to stay in free cash until we come up with a way to appropriate it next town meeting. Every single dollar that's spent comes right through your hands. So that money, if not, it will be used by free cash. If we recoup that money, it won't be able to be used for anything in this fiscal year. We'll have to wait till at least next fiscal year for it to be itemized on what it's going to be spent on. My feeling is you have free cash for two reasons. One is your income either exceeded what you thought it would, or your expenses were less. Often it's a case where we may have had favorable bids, or we may not have started a project because the bids were too high. So that's exactly what this free cash money is. It's a buffer, it's a checking account, but it's one we can't draw on until town meeting says what it should be spent on. I'm encouraging you to use the free cash and relieve the taxpayers of the burden of buying more trash barrels. These are commercial-sized trash barrels with crossbars that the arm grabs. It's not anything you could buy at Home Depot or Lowe's or any of the big boxes. So they are special. They are required by the trash contract. They're going to be numbered, and every household will get one of each. And if you have apartments, so on and so forth, more. But I'm recommending that we've already collected the money from the taxpayers, of which I'm one. I don't see that we should then charge them on top of that for the trash barrels. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on the proposed amendment? John.
Your name has moderation. Quick question. How much are barrels?
A piece. Mr. Chairman?
$62.90, and we're going to have a grant to offset some of that. And Madam Moderator, up here, may I comment?
Sure.
FinCom didn't instruct. FinCom recommended. There's a difference. 2, the Select Board will direct the town manager on how to recoup those costs. I don't see anything in this amendment preventing that happening.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Yes. And again, we're on the amendment.
I'm not sure if this applies, Madam Moderator. Alan McHarrison, Precinct 7. My question is, do they only issue one barrel, or sometimes I have 2 trash barrels?
1 each per single-family home. Multi-families will get more.
How many gallons would that be?
I think one is 95 gallons and the other is 62, if that's correct? 64, I'm sorry. Trash is 64, 96 for recycling.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on the amendment? Okay, we're now going to proceed to vote on the proposed amendment, which is amending the Finance Committee recommendation to read, we recommend that the town vote to appropriate $980,000 from free cash for the purchase of refuse and recycling carts. All those in favor of the proposed amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion carries. We now turn to debate on the main motion. And the main motion reads, we recommend that the town vote to appropriate $980,000 from free cash for the purchase of refuse and recycling carts. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. We now turn to Article 6, Planning Board Performance Guarantee, to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of the 12th second last paragraph of Chapter 41, Section 81U of the Massachusetts General Laws, which would allow the town to expend the proceeds of bonds or deposits held to secure the construction of ways and installation of municipal services in subdivisions, and further to see what sum money the town will vote to appropriate for the purpose of completion of construction of ways and installation of municipal services in the Hilltop Estates subdivision. Said appropriation shall be from the money deposited with the town by the developer to secure performance of said work or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to accept the provisions of the 12th second last paragraph of Chapter 41, Section 81U of the Massachusetts General Laws, which would allow the town to expend the proceeds of bonds, $266,000, or deposits held to secure the construction of ways and installation of municipal services in subdivisions, and further to see what sum of money the town will vote to appropriate for the purpose of completion of construction of ways and installation of municipal services in the Hilltop Estate subdivision. Said appropriation shall be from the money deposited with the town by the developer to secure performance of said work.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. There is now a motion by Bill Bradstreet, seconded by Bill Clark, that the special town meeting be dissolved. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The moderator declares the recess of the annual town meeting over. We now go to Article 1 of the annual town meeting, which is on page 4. To choose such, Article 1, election of officers, to choose such officers as are required by law to be chosen in the months of April, May, and June annually, if they have not been elected by written ballot at the annual election, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I offer the following nominations for town officers: field driver, William Hobart Clark Jr., pound keeper, the health inspector, and Natalie Forey; measure of wooden bark, Tim Hudon, building inspector; weigher of coal, Anthony Betancourt; fence viewers, Stephen King, engineer, William Bradstreet; river committee, Brian Atherton, Matthew Brine, William Scienski, Andrea Daly, Daniel D. Lorenzo, William Thuy, Louis George, Robert Hemian, Michael McCarthy, Thomas Perry, and Christopher Sanborn ex officio.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. We now go to Article 2, which is voting the budget, which we will do by line item. You will find that beginning on page Roman numeral number 3. Education.
Total and net appropriation, $48,858,819.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Moderator,
Total and net appropriation, $1,500.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Select Board,
Total and net appropriation, $27,925.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Finance Committee Reserve,
Total and net appropriation, $125,000.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Legal,
Total and net appropriation, $99,123.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Management,
Total and net appropriation, $357,974.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Information Technology,
Total and net appropriation, $852,301.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Department heads,
Total and net appropriation, $1,547,114.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Accounting,
Total and net appropriation, $486,516.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Assessing,
Total and net appropriation, $447,553.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Treasurer Collector,
Total and net appropriation, $383,427.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Human Resources,
Total and net appropriation, $352,942.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Town Clerk,
Total appropriation, $437,026. From taxation, $427,026, and $10,000 from parking receipts.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Police Department and Dispatch,
Total and net appropriation, $7,273,827.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Fire Department,
Total and net appropriation, $5,925,650.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. DPW tax supported,
Total appropriation, $13,387,755. $13,367,755 from taxation, and $20,000 from lateral and particular sewers.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Land Use and Community Services,
Total and net appropriation, $1,992,518.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed?
No.
The motion carries. Recreation Department,
Total and net appropriation, $1,064,797.
is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Library, Peabody Institute.
Total and net appropriation, $1,562,604.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Debt service.
Total appropriation, $6,442,202. $4,766,884 from taxation, and $1,675,318 from debt stabilization.
Is there any discussion? This requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Benefits and insurances.
Total and net appropriation, $14,464,020.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Retirement tax supported.
Total and net appropriation, $8,966,990.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Capital outlay.
Total appropriation from free cash, $697,684.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Sewer Enterprise Fund.
Total appropriation from sewer receipts, $6,728,791.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Water Enterprise Fund.
Total appropriation from water receipts, $9,708,137.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. We now have voted the budget, and we are moving on to Article number 3, Electric Light Division, to see if the town will vote to appropriate for the Electric Division the income from the sale of electricity to private consumers, electricity supplied to municipal buildings for municipal power, electricity supplied for streetlights and jobbing during the current fiscal year, the whole to be expended under the direction and control of the town manager for the expense of the plant for said fiscal year 2024 as defined by Section 57 of Chapter 164 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and to determine whether said income shall exceed said expenses for the fiscal year or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate for the Electric Division the income from the sale of electricity to private consumers, electricity supplied to municipal buildings from municipal power, electricity supplied for streetlights, and jobbing during the current fiscal year, the whole to be expended under the direction and control of the town manager for the expense of the plant for said fiscal year 2024 as defined by Section 57 of Chapter 164 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and to determine whether said income shall exceed said expenses for said fiscal year.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 4, Essex North Shore Agricultural and Technical School District Assessment. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the payment of the assessment certified by the Essex North Shore Agricultural and Technical School District or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $4,217,492 from taxation for the payment of the assessment certified by the Essex North Shore Agricultural and Technical School District.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion carries. Article 5, authorization of the collector of taxes to act. To see if the town will vote to authorize the collector of taxes to use all means of collecting taxes which a town treasurer may use when appointed collector of taxes permissible under the statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to authorize the collector of taxes to use all means of collecting taxes which a town treasurer may use when appointed collector of taxes permissible under the statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 6, committee reports. To see if the town will vote to hear, consider, and accept the reports of town boards, commissions, officers, committees, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to hear, consider, and accept the reports of the town boards, commissions, officers, and committees.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 7, wireless telecommunications bylaw in the public rights of way. To see if the town will vote to adopt the proposed chapter, and I should have looked at this ahead of time.
43.
What is it?
43.
43 to the town bylaws as follows, and regulate the siting and location of small cell 5G wireless facilities or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to adopt the proposed Chapter 43 to the town's bylaws as follows on pages 5 through 10 of your warrant books and regulate the siting and location of small cell 5G wireless facilities.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion carries. Article 8, citizen petition, recall provision. To see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to petition the general court to enact special legislation as set forth below relating to the establishment of recall election provisions in the town of Danvers, and further to authorize the select board to take all actions necessary to accomplish the purposes of this article, provided that the general court may reasonably vary the form and substance of the requested legislation within the scope of the general public objectives of the petition or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend no action.
There is an amendment, and it's a citizen petition, so I am recognizing town meeting member Michael Traynor.
I'd like to amend the Finance Committee's recommendation on Article 8 so that we can vote on Article 8. So what I move to amend the Finance Committee's recommendation to vote to see if the town will vote to authorize the Select Board to petition the General Court to enact special legislation set forth below relating to the establishment of a recall provision in the town of Danvers, and further, to authorize the Select Board to take all actions necessary to accomplish the purpose of this article, provided that the General Court may reasonably vary the form and substance of the requested legislation within the scope of the general public objectives of this petition or take any other action thereon.
Is there a second? Second. If I could have a copy of the amendment?
Yes. Okay. So what Article 8 is it's a recall process for the town, which we don't currently have now. So right now, in the 5 town-wide office positions, town meeting wouldn't be included because that's not a town-wide office, the person makes the choice whether or not they want to stay on the board. So if something happened, if they created like an egregious act, if you had, say, like a child abuser on the school committee, you may want to get them off. You may not want them on there the whole time. And this town has absolutely no recourse. That person gets to make the decision whether they want to stay, and there's nothing citizens can do. There's nothing the rest of the board can do. Some of the fear with this is people might use it because they don't like someone. So to address that, what I did is I made this extremely difficult to do. So it would only be used in an extreme situation. So what this is, it's a 3-tier system. So the first thing you have to do is someone has to go out and get 350 signatures. That doesn't really do anything. All that does is it actually starts a time clock because, again, we want to make this difficult to do, so it's used in extreme circumstances. So after you get that 350 signatures, it goes to the town clerk. And so what that is, that's like the select board saying, okay, when can you pull papers, nomination papers that we all pull? That's all that 350 is. So then at that point, you have 20 business days, which is 4 weeks, to go out and get 20% of registered voters' signatures and have them certified. So based off the last election, you would have to go out and collect 4,377 signatures and do that in 4 weeks. It's really hard to do. Those of you that worked on the CPA, and I know a lot of people in this room did, you had to get a little under 1,000 signatures, and you tried last year in 3 months. You took a little longer this year. So that just shows, so you have to get 4 times the amount of signatures, and you have to do it in such a short time period. Like, it would have to be something really bad that someone did for this to take place. And I'll tell you, other cities and towns have this, and it just doesn't happen often. A lot of them, it's never been enacted. And I think we should really have this protection in place just in case something happens in town. You could have someone on the select board making, racist comments, and guess what? They have the ability to sit there for 3 years, and they could do it every single meeting. You could have someone show up intoxicated to all meetings, and it's just, that board has no recourse, the town has no recourse. Some other things that I've heard that have come up is, for example, well, in the last election, nothing was contested, but someone could easily slip onto a board that may not show the town in a favorable light. And so that's kind of answers that question. I just think it should be up to the citizens to decide this versus the person that might be a criminal or be criminally charged. And another thing too, just to point out, so like, for example, the chair of the select board, not to pick on anyone, was elected with 1,295 votes last year. That's the total number of people that voted the chairperson in. Now, if 4,377 people say, hey, maybe we should vote on this again, maybe we should. So after you get all these 4,377 signatures and they actually certify with the town clerk, so you probably have to get closer to 4,500, then at that point, we set an election, okay? And what that is, it's a special election here, or we're probably here. And then at that point, the town comes out to vote. And if over 50% of the voters that come out in that election, then that person gets recalled, okay? If they get recalled, that creates a vacancy on the board. What happens is the remaining board members get together and they pick someone, kind of like some of us did at town meeting today, to fill in until the next election. I really think we need this protection in place, because what's going to happen is it's going to get to the point where we need this, whether it be 5 years from now, 20 years from now, I don't know when, but it is going to, the world's changed a lot in recent years. I think we can all agree with that. And you're going to get to a point where you need to use this, and you're going to get to a point where you're not going to be able to do anything. Like, this really makes a lot of sense. And again, it's going to be used in the very extreme circumstances.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there further discussion on the proposed amendment? Yes, sir.
Richard Parker, Precinct 4. I don't like this. But then I look out at George Santos from New York, and it's like, we need something like this. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the proposed amendment? Okay, so now we will turn to voting on the proposed amendment, which changes the recommendation to I move that to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to petition the general court to enact special legislation as set forth below, and that's in your book, relating to the establishment of recall election provisions in the town of Danvers, and further to authorize the select board to take all actions necessary to accomplish the purpose of this article, provided that the general court may reasonably vary the form and substance of the requested legislation within the scope of the general public objectives of the petition, or take any other action thereon. All those in favor of the proposed amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion does not carry. We now go back to the recommendation of the Finance Committee recommending no action. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the recommendation of no action, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The chair has doubt. Will those tellers please count all those who are in favor of the Finance Committee recommendation of no action? Kindly stand. And the tellers, please count your precinct. And Nellie, please don't forget to count the Board of Selectmen as well. How many? 13. Precinct 2? 6. Precinct 3? Precinct 4? Precinct 5? What was that? Precinct 6? 4? Precinct 7? Precinct 8? All those opposed, please stand. And this is opposed to the Finance Committee recommendation of no action. Okay, hold on 1 second. Are you ready? You are? Okay. Precinct 1 is 8. Precinct 2? 11. Precinct 3? Precinct 4? How many? 7. Precinct 5? 11. Precinct 6? Precinct 7? 5. Precinct 8? 12. I'm sorry?
12. Bless you.
Those in favor of the Finance Committee recommendations are 38. Those opposed are 110. So the Finance Committee recommendation does not pass. So does that mean this is a no vote? I'm sorry? There's no motion. So this is registered as a no vote. So so there's no action. The finance, there was not another, so the amended motion did not carry. We then returned to the main motion, which had 38 in favor, 110 opposed, and so there is no vote because there's no further recommendation. You voted down the recommendation of the Finance Committee, so there is no vote. The petitioners obviously would be able, where it is a no vote, to come back before a 2-year process. Moving on, Article 9. Historic District Designation Bylaw. To see if the town will vote to designate 42 Summer Street as a single historic district or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend no change to the existing historic district designation bylaw and move that the town vote to refer this matter for further study as follows. The town moderator shall appoint within 30 days a study committee of no less than 5 and no more than 9 individuals, all of whom shall be residents of the town of Danvers, and at least one of whom shall be a current member of the Historic District Commission, and at least one of whom shall be a current member of the Preservation Commission. The purpose of this study committee shall be to review the existing Danvers bylaws and to make a comprehensive recommendation to the Select Board regarding the preservation of the community's historic structures and buildings, including proposals to amend, if necessary, those bylaws. The study committee's recommendation shall be made no later than 9 months from the first meeting of the committee.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Mr. Gagnon.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Dan Gagnon, Precinct 5. Also the new chairman of the Historic District Commission. I would like to make a motion to amend. My amendment in your warrant booklet only changes words in the first 2 lines. And those lines up until the colon would be changed to move that upon hearing and report of the Danvers Historic District Commission to amend the Danvers Historic District Bylaw, Sections 3 and 11, by adding 42 Summer Street to the Historic District Designation Bylaw as a single parcel historic district as presented in this article, and also move as follows, with it continuing in its original language from there.
Thank you. Is there a second? So the amendment reads, move that upon hearing and report of the Danvers Historic District Commission to amend the Danvers Historic District's bylaws, section 3 and 11, by adding 42 Summer Street to the Historic District Designation Bylaw as a single parcel historic district as presented in this article, and also move as follows. The town moderator shall appoint within 30 days a study committee of no less than 5 and no more than 9 individuals, all of whom shall be residents of the town of Danvers, and at least one of whom shall be a current member of the Historic District Commission, and at least one of whom shall be a current member of the Preservation Commission. The purpose of this study committee shall be to review the existing Danvers bylaw and to make a comprehensive recommendation to the Select Board regarding the preservation of the community's historic structures and buildings, including proposals to amend, if necessary, those bylaws. The study committee's recommendation shall be made no later than 9 months from the first meeting of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. The Finance Committee's recommendation to create a committee to study the broader issue of historic preservation is welcome, but it should be in addition to voting yes on the original article, not instead of approving it. Therefore, my amendment would approve this new historic district designation for that one property as presented, while also creating the committee to conduct a larger historic preservation study as the Finance Committee suggested. I have several reasons for this, but I will be brief since I had emailed out some information over the weekend. First, as background, this historic house at 42 Summer Street was nearly demolished by a commercial real estate developer from Methuen, which was averted at the 11th hour through the work of Danvers volunteers and a Danvers resident buying the house to temporarily save it from danger and to restore it. This article designating the circa 1712 nationally significant historic house, home of a founding father, should be passed because it has already been more than sufficiently studied. It was studied at more than 12 public meetings of the Historic District Commission, including a local public hearing that was held across multiple nights, during which many residents from that surrounding neighborhood voiced support for this proposal. The Massachusetts Historical Commission also studied this article and held their own statewide public meeting on this proposal, during which people from across the state could voice their opinions. The Mass Historical Commission then voted to endorse this proposal. There's no other article before the town meeting tonight that was studied at both the town and the state level. The Historic District Commission then unanimously voted to send this article to town meeting. Also, the Preservation Commission weighed in and voted unanimously to support sending the article to town meeting. Then the Select Board voted unanimously to add it to the warrant to send to town meeting. Then at a second meeting, the Select Board voted unanimously to give it a favorable endorsement. This article has been studied very thoroughly, more thoroughly than any before you tonight. It is the support of many citizens of Danvers, and at our local public hearing, A petition with 148 names of Danvers residents was submitted in support of this proposal. No other proposal before you has that level of documented support. Furthermore, in the weeks that have passed since the Finance Committee voted on the recommendation in your booklets tonight, there's been a significant change in circumstance. The property in question was sold after the Finance Committee met to discuss the article. The new owner, a longtime Danvers resident, purchased the home on Friday, April 28th. The new owner, Alan Berry of CP Berry Homes, wrote to the Historic District Commission in an email to express his support, writing, quote, "I am in support of the new historic district and would like to see the home protected from demolition or inappropriate alteration in the future. Signed, Alan Berry, President, CP Berry Homes," and I have a copy of the email with me. As part of this purchase deal, which is publicly available information from the Registry of Deeds, a deal was arranged whereby the house was bought to be saved, and the developer retained rights to drive across an asphalt driveway on the property, which may be used for a construction project nearby. The vote tonight has no effect on the right of use, which is enshrined in the deed. The construction workers will still be able to access that driveway either way. There's already an asphalt driveway there, and in general, driveways are not issues in historic districts. If you don't take my word for it, I would say to think about the last time you drove through our current historic district, which is the neighborhood around Center Street and Hobart Street. Everybody has an asphalt driveway. It's a non-issue. To close, this proposition really has an unmatched amount of support from the community. The new owner supports this proposal to make this property a historic district. In addition to the property owner's support, it has support from the neighborhood and many citizens all across Danvers who had also attended our meetings. I hope that it will have your support tonight as well to make a concrete step forward in preserving a house that has significance to our nation in a way that is focused and cost effective. This article will not cost the Danvers taxpayers any additional money. Please vote yes on this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on the proposed amendment? Yes.
Good evening, Louis George, Precinct 1. I'm also a member of the Preservation Commission. I just wanted to voice my support for the amendment to this warrant. I think Dan Gagnon expressed it very well, that this new proposed single-lot historic district, it has been extensively studied. It was the subject of numerous public hearings, resulting in favorable recommendations, not just by the Historic District Commission, the Select Board, and the Preservation Commission. And as was mentioned, the new owner supports adding the historic district protection of the property and has expressed his support. Creating a temporary committee to conduct a broad townwide survey as recommended by the Finance Committee can certainly move forward, and I support it, but with the amendment that 42 Summer Street, a property whose historical significance is without question, be added to the already existing historic district bylaw that has been in effect and has worked well since 1974. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the proposed amendment?
Madam Moderator and members, my name is David Mills and I'm a member of the Select Board. And for years, I did community negotiations with respect to land use in Danvers. And never have I seen a project that has been more politely, thoroughly, and competently presented to the people who have recommended this preservation. So I support the amendment and ask that you do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Again, this is on the proposed amendment. Excuse me, you are out of order. 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 Mr. Trask has the floor. Mr. Trask.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Good evening, Danversites. My name is Richard Trask, Precinct 7 member and Danvers Town Archivist for the last 50 years. You heard from Dan, one of the youngest town meeting members, and now me, one of the oldest, though not quite as ancient as member Bill Clark. Danvers is an old community with a rich history corresponding with our national heritage and story. Associated with these evolutionary and historic events are numerous architecturally significant Danvers buildings built over 5 centuries and reflective of our people and tradition. Included in this group are a number of first period dwellings scattered throughout town, they being European Americans' most precious and rarest buildings that are left in this country. Only some 250 such buildings exist in the entire country, and Danvers has perhaps one of the largest concentrations. These must be preserved as part of our responsibility to our national heritage. The period in the mid-1960s through the early 1990s was a significant time in which Danversites did much to preserve its unique heritage. Then, with the closing of the Danvers State Hospital in 1993 and the eventual demolition of 42 structures and 3/4 of the historic 1780 Kirkbride complex, a National Register district in which such designation did nothing to save any of the buildings, as well as the loss of open land in Danvers, forcing developers to find old properties to destroy for new housing complexes. The town began a period of losing more and more of its unique buildings. The last few years have been particularly demoralizing. In just downtown Danvers alone, we have lost forever the 1878 Adventist Church on Putnam Street, our second oldest church in Danvers, the 1894 Queen Anne high-style dwelling at 22 Conant Street, the 1860 Major Preston House at 146 Maple Street, lived in by an officer who served with the United States Colored Troops in the Civil War, a Greek Revival cottage at 53 Putnam, a facade of the original 1891 Company K Militia Company's Armory, which was a unit that served in the Spanish-American War, and the long-term failure to save the 1868 Danvers Plains Railroad Station. And just recently, the Community Preservation Act failed in Danvers when all the communities surrounding us continue to take advantage of the Act for Preservation and Conservation. At what point does this destruction of our own uniqueness and history make us devolve into Anywhere USA? In April 2022, application was made to demolish the first period 1715 dwelling at 42 Summer Street. If you just excuse me for a sec, I'm starting to fade. Thank you. The dwelling at 42 Summer Street was lived in by culturally, politically, and military important members of the Putnam family. In the 1780s, the house was uniquely expanded with the attachment of a lovely high-style, in detail, fully paneled Georgian-style addition. This house became the residence of Timothy Pickering, military hero and founding father, who served in 3 cabinet offices in the George Washington and John Adams administration. By now, you have probably been inundated concerning the architecture and historical significance of this house, a true national treasure. After a demolition delay was placed upon the property, the Historic District Commission began the process to possibly designate this dwelling as an individual historic district in order to save it. The only means of long-term preservation of our most important heritage buildings is through historic district protection. Hundreds of hours were spent, as Dan mentioned, in preparing an illustrated history and architecture of the house. All of you probably got some emails which had an attachment of that. And then owners were generous in their eventual suggestion, a solution of subdividing the property. Support for the house and its preservation has been absolutely massive. Outsiders, including architectural historians, former realtors who previously listed the house, and the Pickering Foundation in Salem have weighed in indicating this rare house should be preserved in perpetuity. Neighbors weighed in a signed petition of over 140, primarily Summer Street and St. John's Prep area residents supporting our effort. Support for the Historic District designation was also given by the Danvers Preservation Commission, Danvers Historical Society, Danvers Alarm List Company, and Rebecca Nurse Homestead. As Dan mentioned, Massachusetts Historical Commission, to whom we had by statute to submit the report, wrote encouraging you to, quote, establish the James Putnam Jr. Historic House District. The Select Board unanimously supported us in submitting our request for a historic district to town meeting, and just days ago, Danvers contractor purchased the house and has started to repair and restore the dwelling. His plan is to remove the decrepit wooden shingle siding and replace it with accurate clapboarding. He's almost fully finished with re-roofing the structure in appropriate wooden shingles. And he said to the commission, as Dan mentioned, that he was in support of a historic district. Though we are very excited that this wonderful dwelling, not long ago slated for demolition, has, through the efforts of many people, been given a new lease on life. I know from personal Danvers experience that houses saved in the past are not necessarily safe for the future. Though this house is listed on the National Register, that designation does not assure the survival of the structure. The only tool available to protect the building in the future is historic district designation. You, town meeting, have an opportunity to so designate this house at a time when everyone associated with it believes it should be made into a historic district. Please don't delay the designation. Strike when circumstances are so universally positive. I earnestly request you to please help in preserving this house far into the future by supporting our amendment. I'm sorry I spoke so long. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trask. Thank you, Mr. Trask. Could somebody move that microphone? Thank you. Is there further discussion? Yes.
I'm Julie Curtis from Precinct 5. I guess I just am confused if the owner of the place is in favor of this. I guess I don't understand why is it the Finance Committee wasn't in favor of it? Am I allowed to ask them a question?
No, the Finance Committee is not subject to cross-examination. So what's happened here is there has been an amendment, and we are voting on the amendment, proposed amendment at this juncture.
Okay, then I guess what I'm trying to say is if the owner of the place is in favor of it, I would hope that we all would be in favor of it. That's all.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? There has been a motion to move the question. All those in favor of moving the question, please say aye. Aye. The question has been moved. We now turn to voting on the amendment. And the amendment, I will read it in its entirety. That, okay, I move that upon hearing and report of the Danvers Historic District Commission to amend the Danvers Historic District Bylaw, Sections 3 and 11, by adding 42 Summer Street to the Historic District Designation Bylaw as a single parcel historic district as presented in this article. And also move as follows. The town moderator shall appoint within 30 days a study committee of no less than 5 and no more than 9 individuals, all of whom shall be residents of the town of Danvers, and at least one of whom shall be a current member of the Historic District Commission, and at least one of whom shall be a current member of the Preservation Commission. The purpose of this study committee shall be to review the existing Danvers bylaw and to make a comprehensive recommendation to the Select Board regarding the preservation of the community's historic structures and buildings, including proposals to amend, if necessary, those bylaws. The study committee's recommendation shall be made no later than 9 months from the first meeting of the committee. That's the proposed amendment. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. We now turn to voting the amended recommendation, which I just read you. Does anybody need me to read that again? No? Is there any further discussion on the proposed amendment? This requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion carries. Turning to Article 10, Technology Plan, to see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the purchase and installation of hardware and software for telecommunications, computers, and related networking equipment for various town departments, or take any other actions thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $389,446 from free cash for the purchase and installation of hardware and software for telecommunications, computers, and related networking equipment for various town departments.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 11, Disaster Recovery, to see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the purchase and installation of hardware and software related to disaster recovery and business continuity needs, or take any other actions thereon. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Oh, I apologize. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $100,000 from free cash for the purchase and installation of hardware and software related to disaster recovery and business continuity needs.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? I'm racing to the bathroom break at this point. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 12, School Transportation Vehicles, to see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the purchase of 2 8-passenger 7D certified school vans, or take any other action thereof. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $150,000 from free cash for the purchase of 2 8-passenger 7D certified school vans.
Is there any discussion? Hearing, sir.
Richard Parker, Precinct 4. You know what I'm going to ask? Are they gas, diesel, or electric?
It's actually to be determined. They're still studying electric vehicles, the cost, how long they'll last, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 13, pavement management and sidewalk improvements. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the implementation of a pavement management program to include consulting services, computer programs, crack sealing, sidewalk improvements, and the reconstruction of town ways, and to determine whether this appropriation should be raised by borrowing or otherwise, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $285,000 from free cash for the implementation of a pavement management program, including consulting services, computer programs, crack sealing, sidewalk improvements, and the construction of town ways.
Is there any discussion? Sir.
Madam Moderator, Alan McCarrison, Precinct 7. We've always have this pavement management and sidewalk improvement coming up on all the these town meetings. And I have mentioned in the past, this is great that we fix cracks and so forth, but there are so many neighborhoods that are in need of actually putting in a sidewalk. And I've got a few examples. If you're in Precinct 7 and Pine Street, we've got 2 streets down off of Pine between Holton and Hobart, one of which is Loris Road. It's a family community road with many children. These children have to go to school, go down to Tapley Field to play ball. They actually have to cross over on a specific crosswalk from Loris across Hobart, and then up Hobart, across Pine, sorry, and then up to the intersection of Pine and Hobart, only to cross again with a crossing guard to go to either Great Oak or to St. Mary's or Highland, thank you, Highland School. So they have to actually cross a crosswalk by themselves to come up to an intersection to be crossed back over with a crossing guard. There is a section, if we just put a sidewalk in from Hobart down to Loris, you can see where the sidewalks come around the corner on both of those streets, and they just end. It would be nice if we added a crosswalk, a sidewalk between that. There are other situations, but this is a community that has children in it, and we've just seen some interesting things happen up in Andover with accidents and people trying to cross. It's just a simple sidewalk. Let's put it in.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 14, roadway layout and acceptance of public ways. To see if the town will vote to approve the layout and acceptance plan to accept certain roads as public ways, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board to acquire by gift, purchase, eminent domain taking, or otherwise, or any fee, easement, or other interest in any easement related to such public ways, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to approve the layout and acceptance plans to accept certain roads as public ways, Riverview Ave, Cemetery Road, and Fowler Street, and to authorize the Select Board to acquire by gift, purchase, eminent domain taking, or otherwise, any fee, easement, or other interest in any easement related to such public ways.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 15, road layout and acceptance of public ways program. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the preparation of street layout and acceptance plans and recording fees to accept certain roadways as public ways in the town of Danvers, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $25,000 from free cash for the preparation of street layout and acceptance plans and recording fees to accept certain roadways as public ways in the town of Danvers.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 16, landfill gas collection system and flare station. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the design, permitting, construction, and engineering services during the construction for the replacement of landfill gas collection and flare station within the town's sanitary landfill, and to determine whether this appropriation should be made through taxation, transfer of available funds, or otherwise, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $337,500 from free cash for the design, permitting, construction, and engineering services during construction for the replacement of a landfill gas collection and flare station within the town's sanitary landfill.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'd like to propose a recommendation to the Select Board. The town of Danvers owns our transfer station, sanitary landfill, and receives annually from Covanta, give or take $100,000. Yet we have no revolving/maintenance account to pay any bills that arise at said landfill. We are the landlord. We, as a landlord, should be taking that $100,000, and even if it's set as a cap of $500,000, once that $500,000 is hit, then we can put the $100,000 that we get from Covanta back into free cash. Because if we had done that, we wouldn't be here tonight asking for $337,500 to replace the gas system. My recommendation is that the board consider, moving forward, any future revenues that the town of Danvers receives as a landlord be put into a revolving/maintenance account for exactly such situations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So just for clarification, you're not proposing an amendment. You're simply making a recommendation for the Select Board.
That is correct.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 17, maintenance dredging. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate toward the cost of future dredging, including engineering and permitting for Danvers Harbor, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $20,000 from free cash toward the cost of future dredging, including engineering and permitting for Danvers Harbor.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 18, drainage capital improvement and repairs, Adams Street culvert replacement. To see what action the town will take for replacement construction of the culvert on Adams Street, and to authorize the Select Board to acquire by purchase, accept as a gift, or take by eminent domain permanent and temporary utility easements in conjunction with the Adams Street culvert replacement, and to determine whether said appropriation should be raised through sewer receipts or sewer retained earnings, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $790,000 from sewer retained earnings for replacement construction of the culvert on Adams Street, and to authorize the Select Board to acquire by purchase, accept as a gift, or take by eminent domain permanent and temporary utility easements in conjunction with the Adams Street culvert replacement.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Sir?
Alan McCarrison, Precinct 7. Knowing that the culvert under discussion right now is at Adams, if we repair the culvert at Adams, will we also have to repair the culvert at Purchase Street, since they're linked together?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
I'll defer to the town manager to have somebody answer that question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public Works Director David Lane has informed me same flow will have no impact on the.
Say that again, please. I'm sorry.
The replacement of this culvert will have no impact on the other culvert.
So
it's
with
the same flow, so it'll be adequate at the other culvert. I'm not an engineer, but
Yep. I'm only asking this because down the road here, we've got another article for the dams. If we open up a dam at Mill Pond, all that water flows down to Adams. Right 90 degrees from that is the culvert that goes under Purchase. I can see that we've got questions regarding the dam. We have questions regarding the Adams culvert. The next course of action is the culvert under Purchase Street. And I can see a chain here, but I don't know when the last time the culvert was changed at Purchase. And will it handle it?
So David, be sure to introduce yourself. You're not a frequent flyer here.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Madam Moderator. We have 3 issues going on here. The dam inspection, that is part of our routine 5-year maintenance on the dam. So it's routine inspection, and then we'll do maintenance on the dam as necessary. The Adams Street culvert came up on our drainage study as a culvert that needed to be replaced. It had a priority. That's why it's here before town meeting. It's also eroding those neighbors' yards. And that'll be the same size culvert, same size flow. The Purchase Street culvert is also on our capital program that will need to be replaced at some point. We all know it flooded over on Mother's Day and a couple other events. It's likely when we replace the Purchase Street that it'll be the same diameter or similar. It still might flood on a storm surge condition on a giant storm, but that one's down the road a bit. We don't even have a year for that yet, so it's in a 5 to 10 year window perhaps, but even that's just a guess.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. And he didn't introduce himself. That's David Lane, DPW department head. All right, is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 19, sewer main replacement, Perkins Road. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the design, permitting, construction, and services during reconstruction of a gravity sewer main and for services at Perkins Road, and to determine whether said appropriation shall be made through sewer receipts or sewer retained earnings, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $350,000 from sewer retained earnings for the design, permitting, construction, and services during reconstruction of a gravity sewer main and services for Perkins Road.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 20, wastewater facilities improvements. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the capital maintenance and extraordinary repairs to the town's wastewater pumping stations, and to determine whether said appropriation shall be made through sewer receipts or sewer retained earnings. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $100,000 from sewer retained earnings for the capital maintenance and extraordinary repairs to the town's wastewater pumping stations.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The meeting will be in a recess until 9:30. So please repairs to the town's Summer Street wastewater pumping station and replacement of the pumping station's generator, and to determine whether said appropriation shall be made through sewer receipts or sewer retained earnings. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $350,000 from sewer retained earnings for the capital maintenance and extraordinary repairs to the town's Summer Street wastewater pumping station and replacement of the pumping station's generator.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 22, Water Main Replacement Program. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the capital maintenance and extraordinary repairs to the town's water distribution system for the design, permitting, constructions, and services during reconstruction of water mains, and to determine whether said appropriations shall be made through water receipts, water retained earnings, borrowing or otherwise, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $2,900,000 from water retained earnings for the capital maintenance and extraordinary repairs to the town's water distribution system for the design, permitting, construction, and services during construction of water mains.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Article 23, Water Facilities Improvement, Putnam Lane. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the construction, capital maintenance, and extraordinary repairs to the town Putnam Lane Booster Station, and to determine whether said appropriation shall be made through water receipts, water retained earnings, or otherwise, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $140,000 from water retained earnings for the construction, capital maintenance, and extraordinary repairs to the town's Putnam Lane Booster Station.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 24, Wastewater Facilities Improvement, Greenleaf Drive. To see if this town will vote to authorize the Select Board to acquire by purchase, accept as a gift, or take by eminent domain permanent and temporary easements on 7 College Pond Road, 9 College Pond Road, 40 Summer Street, 44 Summer Street, and 6 Greenleaf Drive, in conjunction with the elimination of the Greenleaf Drive sewer pumping station, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to authorize the Select Board to acquire by purchase, accept as a gift, or take by eminent domain permanent and temporary easements on 7 College Pond Road, 9 College Pond Road, 40 Summer Street, 44 Summer Street, and 6 Greenleaf Drive, in conjunction with the elimination of the Greenleaf Drive sewer pumping station, or otherwise.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? This requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Mill Pond Dam Safety Inspections. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate to conduct dam safety and compliance inspections for the Mill Pond Dam on Sylvan Street, and to determine whether the funds shall be appropriated through sewer receipts, sewer retained earnings, or otherwise, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $7,500 from sewer retained earnings to conduct dam safety and compliance inspections for the Mill Pond Dam on Sylvan Street.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 26, Building Improvements. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for repairs, maintenance, and improvements to town buildings, including equipment, and to determine whether this appropriation should be raised by borrowing or otherwise, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $501,500 for the repair and maintenance of the town buildings, to be supported by $434,000 from free cash, $27,500 from electric, and $40,000 from the water use mitigation program.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 27, Grounds Improvement. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for improvements and maintenance of town properties, athletic fields, playgrounds, and equipment, and related costs, including construction, reconstruction, replacement, or purchase of equipment or supplies, and to determine whether this appropriation should be raised by borrowing or otherwise, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $64,500 for improvements to the town's parks and properties to be supported by $50,500 from free cash and $14,000 from the water use mitigation program.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 28, Drainage Maintenance. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the continuation of the drainage maintenance program, including engineering, specifications, and bidding documents, materials, equipment, and construction associated with costs of upgrading and improving the existing drainage throughout the town, and to determine whether this appropriation should be raised by borrowing or otherwise, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $25,000 from sewer retained earnings for the continuation of the drainage maintenance program, including engineering, specifications, and bidding documents, materials, equipment, and construction associated with the costs of upgrading and improving the existing drainage throughout the town.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 29, Drainage Liability. To see if the town will vote to assume liability in the manner provided by Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 91, Section 29, for damages that may be incurred by work to be performed by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for the improvement, development, maintenance, and protection of tidal and non-tidal rivers and streams, harbors, tidewaters, foreshores, and shores along the public beach, in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 91, Section 11, and to authorize the Select Board to execute and deliver a bond of indemnity to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to assume liability in the manner provided by Mass General Law, Chapter 91, Section 29, for damages that may be incurred by work to be performed by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for the improvement, development, maintenance, and protection of tidal and non-tidal rivers and streams, harbors, tidewaters, foreshores, and shores along the public beach in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 91, Section 11, and authorize the Select Board to execute and deliver a bond of indemnity therefore to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 30, Revolving Fund Accounts. To see if the town will vote to determine the limit on the total amount which may be expended in fiscal year 2024 from each department revolving fund established pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, under the custody of the town treasurer, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to determine a limit on the total amount which may be expended in fiscal year 2024 from each departmental revolving fund established pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, under the custody of the town treasurer, as follows. Danvers Council on Aging Programming, $215,000. Transportation Revolving Fund, $150,000. Waterways Dredging Improvement, $100,000. Child Care Program, $940,000. Water Use Mitigation, $450,000. Preservation, $10,000. And Police K-9, $20,000.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Here, oh, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Joanne Rigucci from Precinct 2. I just wanted to make a future recommendation under this article in regards to number 7 for the Police K-9 program. I think everyone in the town is grateful for their dedicated and selfless service of our police officers and especially our Police K-9. I recommend that the town consider in the near future to also add an additional Police K-9 as a therapy dog for our schools, for crime victims, and for any additional therapy needs of our citizens in the town. Surrounding towns have instituted this type of K-9 and has a lot of great results, especially with students who are experiencing trauma or anxiety and other difficulties, and it also helps school staff as well. with their stress, especially the past few years, what everyone has been experiencing. And I think it also brings a nice camaraderie in the town to have an additional member of our community. So thank you. So in the future, I hope the town considers to add this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 31, Electric System Improvements, Northland Substation. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate for the improvement to the town's electric distribution system, and to determine whether this appropriation should be raised by borrowing or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $10,400,000 to pay costs of construction of a new 23, I believe that's kilovolt, 4 kilovolt substation to replace the existing Northland substation located at 68 Ash Street, adjacent to the Liberty Tree Mall, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the select board, is authorized to borrow said amount under and pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 8.8, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town therefore.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Mr. Bates.
Just a quick question. $10,400,000. How many, through you, Madam Moderator, how many substations do we have?
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that question. That's above my pay grade. I'll ask the manager to respond.
So now you have to tell us, is that kilovolts?
It's above mine, too. I'm going to grab David Lane for a second. And actually, as a point of order, we were just discussing, there's a typo in the motion that we need to correct before the vote is taken.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the bad news is it looks like the substation all in is going to be $14 million, all in, not 10.4. So, and it's in the explanation that you have there. So this is one of 6 substations of this size that we have. And what was the other question about the kilowatts?
Oh, that was my, are we talking when we say 23 kV? Is that?
Yeah, so that's 23,000 volts.
Wow.
What that means.
Okay.
So when on the top of the poles, our primary distribution system runs at 23,000 volts, then this station takes that and takes it to 4,000 volts, which are the lines that run up and down everyone's street. And then in front of your house, it takes that for 4,000 volts and changes it to 230 volts into your house.
Madam Moderator, if I could just ask through you, how long will it last?
Oh, it's a 50-year station, like what we have.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion before we get into modifying this this recommendation? So my question is this what was voted by the board, by the Finance Committee, this amount of money?
The FinCom, so through you, the FinCom voted 14 million. The explanation section of the warrant includes 14 million. The numbers were reversed in the motion.
So this is a Scrivener's error.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Does everyone understand that? So instead of $10,400,000, it's actually 14 million. It's 14 million straight. It's $14 million. That's the way, we've just confirmed, that's the way the Finance Committee voted the recommendation. And it was, this is a Scrivener's error or an error in typing. So the motion should read, we recommend that the town appropriate $14 million to pay for the cost. Does everybody understand that correction? Does anybody have any questions or comments before we vote it? Everybody understands that? So the motion is $14 million. All those in favor, this is a 2/3 vote because it's borrowing. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 32, Transportation Network. To see what sum the town will vote to appropriate from the Transportation Network Fund or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $11,243.70 from the Transportation Network Fund into the Senior and Social Services Transportation Revolving Fund.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The next three items on the agenda this evening, in the warrant this evening, are citizen petitions brought by Mark Zubrick. And I would ask you, Mark, to please come down to the microphone. Article 33, citizens petition real estate payments of pilot payments from the Beverly Regional Airport Commission, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Select Board to petition the General Court to permit the town of Danvers to collect real estate taxes associated with 170 acres of property and facilities assessed for industrial tax values. This petition requests that the legislation pass by an act relevant to the Beverly Municipal Airport, Article 46, during the 1997, May 9, 1997 town meeting. This action and the provisions shall be vacated. The two Danvers commissioners have failed the Danvers residents. Mr. Zubrick.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Moderator, I'm sorry.
Well, hold on one moment. Let's just get the recommendation of the Finance Committee. I apologize.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. We recommend no action.
Thank you. Mr. Zubrick.
Thank you. I have been dealing with this petition. This is a citizen's petition from the various neighborhoods in our community that have been affected by the operations and expansion of the current Beverly Airport in the town of Danvers, Beverly, and Wenham. This is an issue that has been debated back at our time when we were on the Board of Selectmen back in 1997. At that time, we had issues that were resolved by a gentleman's agreement, basically, and through a town meeting action where we were authorized to put on 2 Danvers residents as commissioners to the Beverly Airport Commission itself. Since then, things have changed, things have evolved, things are not working in response to our community. Our community has been devastated with the noise levels, with the environmental issues that are happening at the airport. And there are significant effects to our occupying our own properties in our own community. Beverly Airport consists of 400 some acres. 170 of those acres are in Danvers. And all I ever hear is that, yes, we knew that the airport was there, we have built out, and people are being affected. The agreement back in 1997 was to forgive the tax collection, the real estate tax collection at that time. And I was told by the current town manager that it was at $6,600. I don't know where that number comes from. But we did have an agreement. The agreement failed, and I believe that we need to start getting some attention from the Beverly Airport Commission in regards to the comfort and the level of quality of life in our community. And there's things that we can do, but they're not being listened to. Our select board has tried to listen to the community. Our commissioners that we have appointed have resigned in one case, and another case they're no longer interested in what's going on. So this is an issue that needs to have the Board of Selectmen get involved and petition the legislative action through the state of Massachusetts to impose or request that there be a contribution in taxes to the town of Danvers, because that's the only thing that the Beverly Airport Commission understands is funding. The one thing that we do not have any leverage on. That's why I brought this citizens petition to your attention, and I have documentation from both the past and the current discussions that have been taking place. And I think that we need to have a method to start collecting the real estate taxes that are owed us, because our families and our residents are being affected. That's my whole point here. Madam.
Thank you. Is there further discussion?
Well, I'd like to ask if we can have a town meeting member amend the motion.
Well, sir, I've asked if there are any discussions, and it's my understanding that there is a town meeting member who will be coming forward with an amendment.
Jim Morrow, town meeting member, Precinct 3, and to the citizens petition, Mark would like to amend the motion to accept it as written.
Is there a second? Mr. Morose?
Again, to the point that Mark made, his presentation covers what the amendment is, what the amendment is, just to accept it as written.
Okay, thank you.
Tony Betancourt, town meeting member, Precinct 5. This issue's been going on for a long time. It's over 20 years. Okay, we got to get something going. I go all the meetings at the Beverly Airport. I've been going there for about 20 years, more or less. Okay. Now, Wyndham gets $25,000 in taxes out of there. They have 40 acres of land over there, and it's all wetlands, basically. Okay, and the airport cries for them, and they pay 20. Okay, and I'm 100% pretty sure and positive that the city of Beverly is collecting taxes on their side, okay? And also inventory and all that stuff there. Look, this has been going on for so long that we need relief, okay? It's not just Precinct 5 that gets this, it's the whole town, okay? The planes out there are too loud, okay? And we need some kind of mechanism to get control of these people, okay? And we have, Joan Lovely's been helping us, Sally Kearns, okay? Even the town manager, and I believe Mr. Bennett's been trying to help us a little bit here. We need some teeth and get some relief, okay? We all need help, okay? And that's what we're trying to do here. We don't know how to go about it, but we're trying the best way we can to save the town of Danvers, okay? The noise out there is too loud. I mean, we've had readings and all this stuff there. It's ridiculous. Something has to be done. That's about the best I can say.
Thank you. Is there further discussion?
John Jaworski, Precinct 2. I don't know if this is appropriate, but as being a town meeting member for a number of years, I've never seen the unfavorable recommendation. I don't know if that can be explained as a point of clarification.
So the select board,
Correct.
As they were reviewing as the select board was reviewing the warrant, and this was included in the warrant as a citizen petition, they voted, it looks like 3-1, that it's for an unfavorable recommendation.
And unfavorable meaning?
Meaning Well, the chair's right there, so why don't we ask him?
Thank you.
So while we want to help the town of Danvers control the noise level, the lead, fuel, and everything, getting $6,000 in taxes is not going to solve those problems. But currently, there's legislation filed at the State House to address issues like this, pilot programs, lieu of taxes. So the board felt it was not proper to put through the citizens petition while there's state legislation filed pending, and to wait for that, the results of that.
Thank you. Did you want to end? Mr. Trask?
Hello, Gunnar Trask, Select Board member. I was also an airport commissioner for 6 years. Just some clarity, just some factual information. Wenham does not receive $25,000 in taxes. In the 40s, during the World War II, the government took Beverly Airport and the surrounding communities' lands for use for the war effort. When they remanded it back, they set Beverly in charge of, because they had the majority space, and they set taxation in a specific calculation. The state legislation has supported that calculation, and only the state legislation can change that calculation. The town of Danvers, city of Beverly, and Wenham can't change the calculation on taxation. We're entitled to $6,600 and some odd dollars, and the agreement that was made was we could forego that to have 2 representatives at the Beverly Citizen as voting members of the Airport Commission. Wenham has not taken that opportunity. They take a smaller amount of taxes than we are even offered. So I agree that something should be done. However, the thing that should be done is that at the state legislation, Representative Lovely and Senator Lovely and Representative Kearns are working on that, and this is moot in face of the fact that it is a state legislation issue. It is not a town of Danvers ability to change that taxation calculation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Okay, I'm letting the town meeting members speak. Is there any further discussion on the proposed amendment? Mr. Almeida. And again, this is on the proposed amendment.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. John Almeida, Precinct 3. I just have a question as to the implication of if we were to move forward with this, would as I read this motion, as I read the petition, it would undo something that the town meeting had previously approved. In doing that, would we be foregoing the 2 representatives on the board while this legislation may or may not get adopted by the State House? So I guess that's just a question about what implication it would have for the members of the current arrangement we have with 2 members on the board.
Mr. Chairman?
I don't have the answer to that. Perhaps the manager might have somebody that can answer that.
Madam Moderator, after the citizens petition was filed, Town Council reviewed and researched what was being requested here. Town meeting did approve a home rule petition in the 1990s, which essentially said that the town would forego the $6,600 or so, which is set in state statute, in exchange for 2 seats on the board. There is no evidence that the state legislature ever approved or filed a bill and ratified that. Nevertheless, the agreement between the town, the prior town manager, and the prior mayor of Beverly was such that the town has in fact waived the statutorily set pilot payment for the past 20 some odd years in exchange for 2 seats on the commission. Because that legislation was never filed, what was discussed at the Finance Committee is that the town could reverse that any year that it chose. The position of the board has been that with a $170 million budget, it's better to have the 2 seats than $6,000 in additional revenue. And our state representative has filed legislation which would deal with the formula in statute, which is where that figure is set. It would treat the airport similar to the way that the Putnam Reservoir is treated, which is based on an appraisal every 3 years rather than an arbitrary number in statute.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Mr. Zubrick.
You know, I have experienced these kinds of promises, wishes, and promises again over the last 35 years, and every single one of them, whether they're legislative action or even the action that we just spoke about in 1997, when we all agreed to have the 2 commissioners and forgive the real estate tax. All those promises have gone into a circular file because they are not being enforced. Promises of a bill that has been prepared, I understand that and I appreciate that very much. But I've experienced past bills that have ended up in the circular file. We need some action now. We need to have the Board of Selectmen proceed to develop a plan to get the attention of Beverly Airport, because they are expanding. The number of flights are increasing. Business jets are becoming evident where you can read the numbers on the tail over the area where I live, which is almost in Middleton. So the thing is that we need to consider this as a quality of life issue and not just ignore it because it's convenient. That's all I have.
Thank you. So we have, is there further discussion before we vote on the amendment? So the amendment as proposed by Mr. Morose is to accept the citizen petition as written, which is to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to petition the general court to permit the town of Danvers to collect real estate taxes associated with the 170 acre of property and facilities assessed for industrial tax values. This petition requests that the legislation passed an act relative to the Beverly Municipal Airport, Article 46, during the 1997, May 9, 1997 town meeting. This action and the provision shall be vacated. The 2 Danvers commissioners have failed the Danvers residents. All those in favor of the proposed amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion does not carry. We now turn to the recommendation of the Finance Committee, which is of no action. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the Finance Committee recommendation of no action, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion carries. Article 34, Citizen Petition, Establish Beverly Authority. To see if town meeting will vote to petition the general court to initiate the conversion of the governance for the Beverly Airport to an airport authority. The adjoining communities shall have equal representation on the governing board. The adjoining communities shall have equal voice in the governance of this federally owned property. The 3 adjoining communities, Danvers, Wenham, and Beverly, shall have equal representation. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend no action.
Thank you. Mr. Zubrick. Again, Mr. Zubrick is not a town meeting member, but he is the citizen of the citizen petition.
Originator. Thank you, Madam Moderator. This has become an option because what has transpired at the airport commissioners' meetings in Beverly at the airport is that we are being, we're not being considered as equal partners in operating the airport. And I understand that's a long history to it. But this is an option where again, legislative action has to take place to convert the current operations from a Beverly-run airport commission to a port authority, basically an airport authority, similar to what happens at Logan Airport or many of the smaller airports in the area. And Beverly is a very small portion of the airports, and airport authority is described as a independent entity charged with operation and oversight of an airport or group of airports. These authorities are often governed by a group of airport commissioners who are appointed to lead the authority by a government official. When the authority of the entity encompasses more than just one airport, it becomes a regional airport. Beverly is already a regional airport. So this has been developed as an option, as a plan to somehow get leverage with Beverly Airport to communicate and operate within the livable conditions in Danvers. And it comes down to two things. It comes down to comfort of your own home. Your home is your castle. And the other one is the expansion at the airport right now with the master plan that has been developed and presented back in 2019 is increasing the volume, the numbers of flights. The flights are now scheduled to go from Beverly to Nantucket to Miami and on beyond that. So what we need to do is somehow, this is an option. And all it is for discussion purposes, basically. But I think that's something that the Danvers Select Board and the legislative body should be considering to give the residents of Danvers better quality of life than they are experiencing right now.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Well, before you come forward, Mr. Betancourt, I'm expecting that there's going to be a motion right there. So if you would, thank you.
I fell asleep at the helm.
Yeah,
Jim
you fell
Morose.
asleep in the switch there, Jim.
Yeah, I want to amend the motion, the citizen petition, to accept the petition as written and as described by Mark.
Thank you. Is there a second? Did you want to be, did you want to be heard on it, or? No.
I'll just.
Okay, thank you. Go right ahead. Thank you.
Tony Betancourt again, Precinct 5. Here we are again. Listen, folks, we need relief. This airport has been taking advantage of the town of Danvers for too long, okay? It's unbelievable what's been going on. I've been going there for 20 years. I bought a radio. I listened to what's going on. They have been taking advantage of us. We have to get control and get quality of life back for Danvers, okay? I know this people have moved out of Danvers already because of this. Even if you check Precinct 5 on how many houses have sold, okay, it's unbelievable, okay? It's ridiculous. We need the town of Danvers to help us in this situation, okay? I don't know how to put it in so many ways. I know it sounds like a broken record, but there's a problem there. And we have to get some control of this. And I can't do it. Mr. Zubrick's trying to help us. We have Sally Kearns trying to help us. We have Joan Lovely trying to help us. We even have Steph Moulton's office trying to help us. So we need help, okay? And we're trying to get the town of Danvers, finally. I mean, Mr. Bennett's been the only one that's really helped us out a little bit more, okay? He's been listening, okay? And before, forget about it. Every time I've come for a vote in the town of Danvers in front of the selectmen, it's always been 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. That's the problem here. We need the town manager and the whole town to get behind us and get rolling on this, okay? Thank you, and I'll let it go.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on the proposed amendment? Okay, hearing none. We'll vote. We'll move first on the proposed amendment, which changes the recommendation to accept the petition as written, which is to see if the town meeting will vote to petition the general court to initiate conversions of the governance for the Beverly Airport to an airport authority. The adjoining communities shall have equal representation on the governing board. The adjoining communities shall have equal voice in the governance of this federally owned property. The 3 adjoining communities, Danvers, Wenham, and Beverly, shall have equal representation. All those in favor of the proposed amendment, which I've just read, kindly say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The amendment does not carry. We now turn back to the main motion, which is a recommendation of no action. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the recommendation of the Finance Committee of no action, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion carries. Article 35, Citizen Petition, Town Charter, Town Manager Act, Committee to update and review. To see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the town moderator to appoint a Town Charter, Town Manager Act Committee to review and update these documents. Currently, there are no provisions to update and review these long-standing documents on a regular basis. The refresh of these documents shall serve as a periodic update and provide the town meeting to assist in the process. The composition of the review committee is left to the moderator. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend no action.
Thank you. This is a citizen petition brought by Mr. Zubrick.
Thank you. This is an action that needs to be taken because the last time I remember the Town Charter or Town Manager Act, whatever you want to call it, it's all one and the same, has not been revised or updated since 1994, 93, I believe. I think we were involved in that at that time. The actions that you have been discussing today, recall petition and other issues that have happened over the years, should be taken care of on a regular basis. Every city and town that has a charter that operates, that's their constitution, needs to have it updated to reflect the current residents in our town. Our town has changed. 35 years is a long time for the document to sit there. And I understand it is a document that has served us very well. Then let's rubber stamp it and let's move on. What we have not done, we have not reviewed the current organization that's operating in this town. Our town is not a small town anymore. It is a growing city. The thing is, we cannot make decisions on the spot. We have to wait for our town meeting, which is, this is it. This is where the action should take place. The problem is that they're set in their ways, and we need to update the current constitution, the current charter that we need to operate under. Now, I've been asked at several of the meetings, what do you want to do? You want to give the Board of Selectmen more power? Of course. Those are our leaders. We are not a dictatorship. So we need to have input from the community in how this town is operated. So the suggestion here is that this should become a one every 5 or 10 year review, because we need that review for various things that are happening in our town.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Morose. See, if
Yeah.
I can just, hold on one moment. If I can just point out, this is what should be happening with amendments. They made me aware of the amendment. I'm looking for the person who's going to be bringing forth the amendment. I already have it in writing, just for future reference for folks. Mr. Morose.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Yeah, Jim Morose, Precinct 3. Again, I rise to make a motion to accept this warrant, citizens petition as written, and as Mark described, it's just something that we should do on a regular basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the motion have a second? Beautiful. Okay, is there any further discussion on the proposed amendment? Okay, hearing none. I will read the proposed amendment. It reverts it back to the language that is the petition that is printed in your book, to see if town meeting will vote to authorize the town moderator to appoint a town charter, town manager act committee to review and update these documents. Currently, there are no provisions to update and review these longstanding documents on a regular basis. The refresh of these documents shall serve as a periodic update and provide the town meeting to assist in the process. The composition of the review committee is left to the moderator. All those in favor of the proposed amendment, which I just read, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion does not carry. We now revert to voting on the main motion, which is the recommendation of the Finance Committee. Is there any further discussion? We now turn to voting on the recommendation of the Finance Committee of no action. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion carries of no action. Article 36. Special Education Stabilization Fund, to see what sum the town will vote to appropriate toward the Special Education Reserve Fund or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $600,000 from free cash for the Special Education Stabilization Fund.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 37. General Stabilization Fund, to see what sum the town will vote to appropriate to add to the General Stabilization Fund pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $100,000 from free cash to add to the General Stabilization Fund pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 5B.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries. Before we continue on, I would just like to recognize the Finance Committee, the unsung heroes of the town meeting process, for their hard work and diligence. Thank you all very much. And they all showed up for town meeting. Nothing better than that. Okay, Debt Stabilization Fund, to see what sum the town will vote to appropriate to add to the Debt Stabilization Fund pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $500,000 from free cash to add to the Debt Stabilization Fund pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 5B.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Article 39, OPEB Trust Fund, to see what sum the town will vote to appropriate to add to the Post-Employment Health Insurance Stabilization Fund pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 32B, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend that the town vote to appropriate $250,000 from free cash to add to the Post-Employment Health Insurance Stabilization Fund pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 32B.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Before going to the last article, on behalf of the town meeting body, I'd like to send a thank you to the folks at DPW and the school department for getting our room set up and having us all feel comfortable. The air conditioning has been on all night. Thank you. So thank you to both. I'm sorry. Oh, and and DCAT. Thank you. Okay, Article 40, Fiscal 2024 Budget. To see if the town will vote to amend the action taken under Article 2 of the 2023 Annual Town Meeting by increasing certain appropriations, by adding certain appropriations, or by reducing certain appropriations, by transfer among accounts or from available funds, or take any other action thereon. Mr. Chairman.
We recommend no action.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. I was going to ask for that, Mr. Clark. You were reading my mind. There is a motion to dissolve. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you all so much. Have a good evening.